All right, here we go. Let me holler at y'all right quick. Let me plug the joint. Getting the woman is not as important as how you got her. Okay, let me plug the joint again. Getting the woman is not as important as how you got her. I'm going to play a brief clip. This is an older clip. I'm certain I used it before. And whether I have or haven't, some of you may have already seen it, but I need to play it again so I can illustrate the point I'm trying to make with this here drop. Now, before I do that, okay, let me throw this up there, right? Now, simp is one of the most overused and misused words on the internet. This is the real definition of what a simp is, right? It means a guy that is overly desperate for women, especially if she is a bad person or has expressed her disinterest in him, which he continues to obsess over, right? So let's break that down, right? So when we talk about her being a bad person, right? What a bad person is subjective, right? But let's go ahead and use it in a sense of a chick who's a little disrespectful. She's a little mouthy. She has a slick mouth, right? A woman who is highly resistant to you, right? A woman who doesn't really listen to what you're saying. Instead, she tries to interject or insert her agenda, right? And she tries to toss what you're talking about to the side in lieu of what she wants, but yet you continue to deal with her, right? Any woman who is resistant to you, she's hesitant to do what it is you're suggesting or asking, right? She's showing trepidation, hesitation, and she's making things a bit of a challenge for you, but yet you continue to deal with that woman. Then you are a simp, right? A real quick example of this is if you offer a woman a date, for instance, and she doesn't like your date idea, or she doesn't like the venue, right? So let's say you tell her you want to go grab a couple of drinks somewhere, and she doesn't mind grabbing a couple of drinks with you, but she doesn't like the place that you chose. And she instead says, well, I really don't like that place. I prefer this place, right? So even with this definition, right, she's being resistant. And in a sense, she's a bad person in the aspect of you're offering her a date that you're going to pay for, and she hasn't humbled herself to the fact that she's being offered something where she ain't got to come out of pocket. But yet she is showing a lack of gratitude and a lack of appreciation for the opportunity, right? But the reason why she's showing a lack of gratitude or a lack of appreciation for the opportunity is because she ain't really feeling you, right? So she feels like, I know he's feeling me. I'm not really feeling him all that much, but I feel because he's feeling me, I think I can assert myself in this situation and get him to capitulate, get him to acquiesce. And the moment you follow her, you be like, okay, well, if that's what you prefer, I guess we can do that. Okay, right when you do that, women aren't going to respect you. And in those particular scenarios, you're simping, right? I need guys to understand this. Another example, if you're dealing with a woman and you are mainly motivated to deal with this woman because you desire to have sex with her, but yet you're doing things you really don't want to do. You're talking on the phone and you really don't want to do it. You're texting throughout the day back and forth. You really don't want to do it. You're messaging these women on these online dating apps and you really don't want to message them at the rate or the frequency that you're doing, but you're doing it anyway, right? The reason why you're doing these things that you really don't want to do is because you feel like if I appease her, right? If I do things at the behest of her, right, I'll get to the sex, right? So when we say when a guy is being a simp, it means a guy that is overly desperate for women. You might not look at it that way, but you're being desperate. Even when guys talk about shit tests, oh, you got to pass her shit test. What kind of woman who actually relishes the opportunity? She values the opportunity. She's humbled herself at the prospect of being able to deal with you. What woman who feels that way will give you a shit test? The only women who give you a shit test are women who don't see the value in you, but they believe you see the value in them. Because most guys do what? They pedestalize women. They chase women. Okay, I made a video that is not currently on this channel. It was on my old channel. The title of that video was Pursue Women, Fall Back, and Let Them Chase You. Pursue women, fall back, and let them chase you, which means this. When you approach a woman that you find visually appealing, right? All you have to do is let that woman know where your intentions lie, what it is you want to do. If you just want to have her come over so you can get straight to the sex, if you want to offer her a date, that's all that you're doing. If you're stepping to the young lady, you're having a brief conversation, and you're flirting heavy. That's what you should be doing, right? That's also a way where you can let women know where your mind is at, where your head is at, where your true intentions lie. So you step to the woman, you heavily flirt. You don't try and sell yourself. You don't try and convince the woman that you have value. That's what simps do, right? If you feel like you're that dude, if you feel like you're him, you don't have to sell yourself. Your masculine presence alone, y'all don't hear me though. Your masculine presence alone should be enough for any woman who is actually genuinely feeling you. So if you show up in a moment, you present yourself in the most sincere, genuine, authentic way possible, and you keep it 100 with the babe and you let her know what it is you're trying to do. If you're dealing with a woman who is actually sexually attracted to you, that's enough. Anything you say and or do above and beyond that, you're simping. That's what the fuck you're doing. But let's get to this video, and then we're going to break it down. Give me just a second, y'all. Let me snatch this motherfucker up. All right, here.
I don't chase booty. If I got to chase my wife, then I'm going to have to keep chasing her to keep her.
That's right.
You men that chase women, the moment you start chasing that woman, you're going to have to keep chasing her.
Keep it up.
That keep her. You're going to have to keep it up.
That's right.
And once she see you chasing her, she going to deliberately do things that make you run her down.
That's right.
I chase God.
Amen.
I won't never chase a woman long as I'm black.
No.
And as far as I know, God ain't changing my color.
There you have it. You heard the preacher man. He says, I don't chase booty. And once a woman realizes that you're chasing her, she's going to deliberately do things, so you have to run her down. I need guys to understand this. Look, let me tell y'all something. When y'all text women and they take hours, if not days, to respond, and then you're double texting her because she hasn't responded, you're chasing her. If you text a woman or leave a voicemail, or if you leave a voice note, right, and you're very specific as to what it is you're trying to do, and she either one, never responds at all, and you continue your pursuit of her, you try and call her again, you try and text her again, you try and leave her another voice note, you're chasing her. Or if she responds, but she doesn't directly address your message, and she kind of glosses over it or ignores it, but yet you continue to try and make something happen with her, you're chasing her. And she knows you are. Women will not respect you. Now, is it a possibility that if you run her down and you wear her down and you chase her, right? Can you get some sex as a result? Yes. But let's go back to the title. Getting the woman is not as important as how you got her. Why is this important? Gentlemen, how you got that woman, right? How you got that woman will show you the type of experience you're going to have dealing with that woman going forward. If you had to chase that woman, right? If you had to sweat her, right? That's what we used to call it back in the day. Dog, why you sweating that bitch, dog? Why you sweating her, dog? Right? That's what a lot of guys is doing. Even when you're talking to a woman and she's like, oh, you know, I ain't that kind of girl. We just met. And you're like, you know what? It's okay. I can respect that. But look, at that juncture, you're sweating her because you're trying to make something happen and she's resistant to it. So instead of you leaving the situation and maintaining your masculinity, what do? You give her your balls and you continue to try and convince her to fuck with you. But guess what's happening now? Now you're dealing with that woman on her terms. You're no longer dealing with her on your terms. Because if you were dealing with a woman on your terms, you would be the one setting the tone for everything. You would be the one dictating the pace and flow of everything. Everything and anything that happens with you and that woman should be happening on your timeline. Meaning, if you want to set up a date, it should happen on your timeline. If you want to set up a sexual rendezvous, it should happen on your timeline. You should never be waiting on that woman to decide whether or not she wants to fuck you. You don't wait on her. You let her know what it is you want to do and when you want to do it. And if she's resistant to that, or she's reluctant, if she's showing any type of hesitation or trepidation to that, you need to leave her alone. But if you continue to deal with her, now you're chasing her. Guys, getting the woman is not as important as how you got her. Any woman that you elect to deal with, you should only get her strictly on your terms. You should never have to cajole the woman, right? You should never have to try and convince her. You should never have to try and talk her into something. No, it should be easy, right? And let me just say this about it being easy. Once you've dealt with enough women, you're going to see the clear distinction between the women who are sexually attracted to you now, right? Again, let me start all over. Let me repeat that. Once you've dealt with enough women and you've had sex with enough women, okay, even if you hadn't had sex with them, but once you've dealt with enough women and you've had sex with your fair share of women, you're going to see a clear distinction between the women that are sexually attracted to you now. They make everything easy, no issues. Then you're going to see the women who just ain't really feeling you like that. Then you're going to see the other crop of women, they're showing some signs of interest, but you find yourself going above and beyond, right? It's like pulling teeth to get shorty to meet you. It's like pulling teeth to get her on the phone. It's like pulling teeth to get her to respond to your text messages based on what you're actually asking her, right? Or what you're actually suggesting happen, or what you're actually instructing her to do, right? So an example of that is this. I had a client, well, he's still a client, but he was telling me, well, a couple of different times where he would reach out to women that he was dealing with, and he would basically tell them, hey, how about we get together on this day around this time, and you meet me at my place. What he found with most of those women was one of two things, right, that they were doing. Either the woman would flat out ignore that. She would flat out ignore it, ignore what he was saying. And then she might respond to his text saying, I don't know if you noticed, but today is such a beautiful day. You know, whenever the weather is like this, it makes me think of this. Right? Some women would literally ignore what he said. They would respond to his text, but they would ignore what he said and they would talk about some other shit, a completely unrelated topic. Or they would ignore what he said and they might put this in the text. Hey, me and a couple of friends are going to be at this bar. Why don't you join us? And when he was having consultations with me, he would literally be pondering the prospect of following the woman's lead. And I'm like, what are you doing? No. I'm like, number one, it's blatant disrespect for her to see your text. She responds to it, but she changes the subject and she completely glosses over what you said. And she's talking about some other shit. She's ignoring you. She's ignoring you. Guys, getting the woman is not as important as how you got her. I got another story, same client, and I hope you're listening to this, right? He told me about a situation where he had met this young lady. He called her up. He tried to invite her to his crib, and she was like, well, me and a couple of friends, we got an Airbnb over here. We're having a little get-together. Why don't you come over here? So he leaves his house, and he goes over there. So he's around this young lady that he just met and around her inner circle, her little friends. And I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? So he goes over there. He's sitting on the couch. You know, they kind of making out a little bit, but he don't smash. But even if he would have smashed, let's go back to the title. Getting the woman is not as important as how you got her. Here's the thing, and I'm going to leave y'all with this. And I've said this as of late. Women will always prioritize themselves, no matter what. Okay? And that's okay. That's fine. Okay, listen to what I'm telling you. Women will always prioritize themselves, their needs, wants, and desires. They will always prioritize these things. You as a man, it's important that you do the same. You prioritize your needs, wants, and desires. So if you're dealing with a woman and your needs, wants, and desires aren't being met by her, you're fucking with the wrong woman. Zach, elaborate a little bit more. Zach, elaborate a little bit more. I don't know what you're really trying to say. Allow me to elaborate. Let's talk about compatibility. What does compatibility mean? Existing in harmony with no conflict. Okay, let me say that shit again. Compatibility means existing in harmony with no conflict. If a woman is reluctant to do something that you're telling her to do, you have conflict. If she's resistant, if she's hesitant, if she shows any type of trepidation, she's resistant. She is showing that she's not compatible. It's conflict. You have conflict. Your interaction is not harmonious. Getting the woman is not as important as how you got her. This is why I tell you guys, be careful of what you introduce to women. Right? So if you, like, let's say for the sake of argument, you took a woman out on 2 or 3 dates, 4 dates even, and then you finally had sex. What happens then is all of those dates you took her on, all of that non-sexual attention, intimacy, energy, and effort, the sex you're having is directly tied to all of that shit you were doing before you got to the sex. So now what happens is, if you try to have her come over without spending any money, without taking her out, right? If you have her come over on some, hey man, why don't you come over real quick and let me beat that pussy up right quick, right? What you're gonna find is that the majority of the women, probably 99% of the women, most of them, are going to be reluctant to do it your way. They're not going to be inclined to just come over, fucking leave. They're going to be like, okay, I can come over, but hey, there's a movie on Netflix I want to watch. Or I can come over, but hey, let's go out and grab a drink first. Or meet me at this bar, then I'll come to your house. So if you're encountering that, it's because the way that you got her was on her terms. The way that you got her was putting your needs, wants, and desires on a back burner in lieu of hers. You put her needs, wants, and desires above your own. So now anytime you deal with her, that's the dynamic you've created, where she comes first, you come second. Getting the woman is not as important as how you got her. Again, her needs, wants, and desires should align with yours. If anybody is going to be making any accommodations or concessions, if anybody is going to be compromising, it should be her. Never you. Never you. It should never be you. Under any circumstances, should you ever be compromising yourself for some pussy. Ever. You should never be making accommodations and concessions so you can win the woman over, win her affection, so you can get some pussy or some female companionship. Getting the woman is not as important as how you got her. Your experience you have with that woman is a tall tale sign of how you got her. I'm going to holler at y'all. Like, share, and subscribe. Real Game, No Theory. 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Come through and fuck with us. I'm out. Peace.
We're here to define what a man is, right?
Responsibility creates struggle, struggle creates strength, and strength creates structure.
How many people care about what people think about them? Be honest.
As a man, you got to be able to protect not just yourself, but your family.
When we talk about being a man, it's your behaviors.
But I don't say any of this to brag. I don't say any of this to gloat my life up or I'm better than anybody.
I start crying. I'm like, why am I crying? And so what I realized was,
you put yourself in a target-rich environment. You are the only woman that paid for a ticket to come to this event.
if you're trying to teach your daughter to be around a certain man and you're not that man yourself, she gonna choose you.
Hey, let me not touch this nigga. He too clean. Where is that on you?
It's not on me.
It's not on you. The only reason why it's not on you is because you didn't choose it.
Find the women who can actually help you build. And here's some deep game for you. You don't have to have sex with all of them.
Since 2016, I've been following Lucario and Miles. Y'all changed my life. Followed by Uncle Ram. So ever since then, I've been getting a little bit of too much ass at times.
You know, as a man, there's a balance to it. Your purpose and pussy. And the heavier your purpose.
Even if you lose the relationship, you don't lose yourself. And that's the most important part.
Ladies and gentlemen,